many of the leaders that attend such processes, that have the courage to do that, when they get back home, their surrounding gives feedback. And most of them say, wow, you have changed. What have you been doing? And so many people, they come to us, they come to me because of referrals. They have seen wonderful changes in their friends, or even in their bosses sometimes, and they want to follow through. Recognizing the own purpose, because that is a fantastic enhancer of our power to achieve more.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Heinz Kaegi, who will show us the path to working from our heart. Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com. While you're there, you can sign up for a monthly email where I share the best articles I read this month, let you know about upcoming episodes, and share a little wisdom. You can also listen to coaching calls under the Coaching Calls tab. I also share the most interesting articles I read every week on Facebook at facebook.com/Richer Soul. And there's also a Facebook group where you can ask questions and interact with other listeners. Today's quote is from Anne Frank. How wonderful it is that nobody wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. What are you choosing to do to improve your world? One thing we can all do and work towards is a better work environment that fulfills us and makes us happy. That's my work environment. Doing what I love, getting paid well, and helping others to thrive and do the same in their business. The old systems of management are dying. Working hard, and giving up your life for money is silly. There's better ways to live your purpose, gain fulfillment, and build wealth. It takes turning everything on its head and changing the way we look at this situation. Now, I want you to understand this doesn't mean we are not responsible, that we don't show up, that we don't say what we say we will do. It means doing all of that because we love it, because it energizes us and pushes us forward. It also doesn't mean we give up money. I make more than I ever have. That's what our guest and I will chat about. How to have money and fulfillment, how to create a vision for the future and work towards it, and how to lead by helping others thrive. After completing his C-level business career in several industries and as an officer in the Swiss Army, Heinz was the founder of several companies in Europe and the USA. He lives his passion as an international speaker, best-selling author, recognized expert, and mentor of visionary leadership. His globally unique program called Leadership excellence for life experience has already inspired tens of thousands of executives. His Swiss bestseller, Wanted Leaders, has been published. Heinz has also designed and conducted over 1,000 corporate development processes in 3 languages on 3 continents over the last 30 years. His passion is for moving leaders from hard work to heart work, and that helps him to make an impact and be powerfully inspiring. Let's meet Heinz. Welcome to Rich Your Soul, Heinz Kaegi. It's great to have you join us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Rocky.
I'm excited to learn from you today. We always start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
So I grew up in 3 different cultures. Actually, the first one was the Swiss-German one, followed by the French, followed by the American. So I'm cosmopolitan human being on this planet, which I love. I love those many, many cultures and characteristics. And I grew up in St. Gallen, where that's the place where there is one of the most famous management schools. And I learned about money from my parents because my dad was first, he was an employee in the construction business, out of which he made the decision. We were 4 children at home, and money was a key issue. He didn't bring much money home every month, and so he then got in his career to the level of becoming a self-employer. And this is one of the future-shaping phases in my youth. When I saw, I heard, I felt that we don't have much money to pay the bills, to feed the family, to provide for everything that is excellent for life. And so every dollar, could I say, my dad, including my mom, they turned it twice to check, do we do this expenditure for this purpose or for that purpose? Are these things we need, or are these things we want? So I learned to differentiate that. That was a major lesson in my life, in my youth, actually. And later on, I was 15, 16, when I left home for the first time for about 4 weeks to drive with my bike, a very small bike, not a real scooter, to Italy, discovering the life as a tourist, down to earth with this small bike, sleeping out on the fields, getting to know from very close local people and how they would treat us so well. We were ever so welcome along the path. And I didn't have really enough money with me. So I had to compensate, actually to work for it. Here something, there something along those 5 weeks. I had a fantastic time, the time of my life, although the money was not there in abundance. Actually, it was the opposite. That was the second one. The third one was when for you to know, I have followed through with a classical management career, actually from scratch to top, a C-level career. Now, at the very beginning in my career, the higher I grew, the more money was available. And so I ended up as this youngster in the management rankings as the youngest always. I earned so much money that I could convince my bank to finance my future home, which I was about to have constructed, with a loan of 100%, because my income was so great. So the bank felt safe with me. And so this was then on a very different level, starting to appreciate the, let's say, the return on invest, because I was a hard worker, as being the youngest on every rank in the career. The only way to prove myself towards my colleagues or competitors in the company through hard work. I was the first one to show up in the morning. I was the last one who left, etc. Nowadays, that is totally different. These paradigms, they have changed big time. So that was the third future shaper. And then number 4, definitely, speaking about money, was when I made the choice to jump from the cliff, so to speak, to give you a picture, jump from the cliff because I felt drawn towards becoming a self-employer and doing what I have done in my young career for so many people that I was responsible for, now for my future clients. So I jumped off the cliff, trusting the angels to deliver the wings on my way down before I hit the beach. Actually, my beach has always been Florida. Florida has as well been my home state in the US. Yes. So, and then when I jumped the cliff, I would withdraw the money from the future pension fund, from the corporations, all of my career. So then I had a deadline. I had so much money, and the money would be sufficient for 9 months of time, and then empty pockets. So there was only 2 possibilities: survive or perish. And my goal was, on my first day as an employer, I signed the first contract with a client, which I did. His name is Emanuele, Italian, a very successful entrepreneur. He attended a LEX with me. LEX stands for Leadership Excellence, a program that I have been developing after having done so much research about the laws of leadership, etc. And so this first day, being a self-employer, I'll never forget. In the evening, when I got home, my first client. Wow. And that meant as well, money will follow. So after those 9 months, my pockets were not empty. It was the opposite. 3 years down the road, I could no longer handle all the clients. So I hired coaches. So this is my long answer to your very short question, Rocky, about the money and the youth and where did I grow up, etc.
Thank you for sharing that. You made a couple comments. So one of the things you said is you worked very hard as you were going up the ranks, and you were the one who was there early, stayed late, and that's what gave you the success. But then you said things are changing now. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. So along my career, I have come to see that it is no longer the one that is hardworking the most, being the first one in the morning, the last one in the evening. It is about taking the responsibility as how do I invest my time? And what is the importance in all of that? If I'm responsible for hundreds or thousands of people, how can I be responsible and become the leader of those people who I am entrusted with to lead forward into the future. It is not sufficient if I just do the hard work. It is ever so important that it's not just about success, that is as well about fulfillment. Look, if we have a success axis and we have a fulfillment axis, we are in between those two underways along our career, every human being. And so in the center spot between success only and fulfillment only, there is the sweet spot. And I call it, that is when we have recognized our purpose, our life on purpose, our purposeful life, the meaning of what we do and why we do it, what makes us tick. And that is then the initiation of change from a hard worker to a point. And that has many, many, many great implications.
It does. I find a lot of people, and it depends on the person, right? Some people are very success oriented and they do whatever it takes, but then they look back in the mirror and they say, I don't know if it was worth the price that I paid, or they have bad outcomes in life from a health standpoint or a relationship and family standpoint, or from something else that at that point can no longer be repaired.
I know what you are speaking about, Rocky. I've been there. I've done that. I have left aside my family. The more I got successful in my career, the more I was addicted to the success. And so I got offered another job in another company, in another geographical area. For me, that was, let's go, let's do that. Naturally, I have this rich experience as a payout throughout those many jobs and years at the C-level. That is outstanding. And today, I benefit a lot working worldwide with top executives. But then, back then, I made my personal success, my career, was above all. So I didn't have quality time with my family, with my children, and I ended up going through a divorce. And that was one of the saddest, most sad periods and phases in my life, with many learnings, very painful, and everything that you can imagine. So in conjunction with me being addicted to success, whenever there was the question, Heinz, here's the next possibility. We offer you this next job, higher rank, much more pay, and etc. Then the question that I have asked was, Heinz, do you want success or do you want fulfillment? Success or fulfillment? My answer was in a millisecond clear. Success, of course. I mean, what else? So I ended up being so much addicted to success that I lost out of sight my personal fulfillment, which ended in a form, you could say, midlife crisis, burnout, whatever, So I ended up hitting the wall in my career, which meant I came to the point when I said to myself, Heinz, enough is enough. You have done the hard worker for the total success. You have lost out of sight fulfillment. And for the future, you give one promise to yourself, which is, whenever this question comes up again, Heinz, do you go for success or do you go for fulfillment? Number one, I cancel the word or, which is in the middle. Do you go for success or for fulfillment? I cancel the OR, which means or. I cancel it out and I replace it by and. The second thing I change is the question mark at the end. Do you go for success or fulfillment, Heinz? Question mark. I delete the question mark and I put an exclamation mark. So that means from now onwards in my life, when this question comes up, I reframe it and I say, I go for success and fulfillment, exclamation mark. It's like a declaration. And that has changed completely my approach in business. Coming to understand that if I'm responsible in a corporation, for instance, for many, many people, it is no longer sufficient to just expect their full commitment and 724 performance. I have a responsibility to manifest through people empowerment. That means I do no longer lead my people based on their performance. I stop this one and I start leading them by their potential for the future. And then the magic starts to happening in the organization. And it starts with me, myself, taking the responsibility for taking, first of all, good care of myself. That does not mean with the dollar signs in the eyes. No, that means taking good care of my health, my vitality, my energy level, my personal growth, because only then can I lead, take the lead, and become the leader, which is a function that is not on my business card. That is something that I'm rewarded with if the people that I lead give me this reward, saying he is our leader. So we follow him because we get from him true people empowerment. Yes, Rocky.
That's interesting. I think for a lot of people, this is a struggle of figuring out what is the right balance. And I think for everyone, the right balance is what's right for them, but also figuring out the purpose part. Because I think for a lot of people, you ask them, what do you want? And they don't know.
True. Because they don't know. They don't have the clarity. So they are somehow in the confusion in their job. And confusion, to give a picture, is like driving your car in the midst of the fog or the mist, you know. You don't put the pedal through the floor. You don't. If there is fog around you, you put the foot on the other pedal, on the brakes. You slow down. And so when we do not have the clarity about what are you here for? What do you stand for? What do you go for? What is your contribution to the greater good in the long term? What is your purpose? What makes you get up every morning? Where do you draw your energy from?
How do we figure that out?
Come see me. No, yeah, this is just one of the possibilities. Of course, there are hundreds of possibilities. I'm just saying, I do inspire and empower, as well as challenge leaders to become who they are. And there are 7 phases of the whole program, of the LEX, as I already mentioned. LEX stands for Leaders Excellence for Life experience. That's based on my bestseller, Wanted Leaders with the 7 Laws of Leadership that I've been doing research. So when I say come to me, come see me, there are several possibilities, of course. This program, the LEX program that I have developed, has made the tour of the world. 10,000s of executives have been directly or indirectly in touch with this program, the publications and trainings and coachings and much more. So the first step is the law, understanding the law of leadership. Number 1, that's the foundation. The law is, in 4 words, where there is no purpose, there will be no power. That's a deep one. Where there is no purpose, there will be no power. So what that means for us in our careers, in our responsibilities, as well in our communities, to the greater good, that means if the present time is not joined by a vision for a changed future, then I say a present with no vision leads to a future with no purpose. So we get off our personal sweet spot, force field, and then instead of listening to the voice of our heart, we listen to all the other factors from out there. So we lose our track. And then that pays out negatively in the context of our self-worth. It is our personal self-image that is leading us towards our promised future. And the first thing really is not to find out our purpose. No. There's nothing to be found. It is to recognize our purpose. Cognize, to be very clear. Recognize, meaning it's already there. It's innate. It's inside of us. It's about recognizing. And that has to do with reflecting on quite a number of deep dive questions, reflecting on those that has to do with our talents, that has to do with our values, that has to do with our experience, that has to do with our future, many deep dive questions. Many of the leaders that attend such processes, that have the courage to do that, when they get back home, their surrounding gives feedback. And most of them say, wow, you have changed. What have you been doing? And so many people, they come to us, they come to me because of referrals. They have seen wonderful changes in their friends or even in their bosses sometimes, and they want to follow through. Recognizing the own purpose, because that is a fantastic enhancer of our power to achieve more.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Answer Man Podcast. Did you know that most small business owners hate looking at their financials? It's one reason they may struggle with business success. The Profit Answer Man podcast helps them ensure they are profitable and can pay their employees and weather the storms we all have to face. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. And I think once you have clarity of what you want and you start living in alignment with it, it makes life so much easier. And you do have much more focus, and you can get more done because you're not doing things that are irrelevant or not taking you in the direction that you choose to go.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, it is much better.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, one of the things that you talk about, though, is leading from the future. So the question is, how do we see the future? And then how do we lead from a future perspective?
Wow. This is a $1 million question from Europe. Thank you for offering me this challenge. I'm ready for that. So it all starts with the Lex law of leadership, number 2, that comes on top of the first one. That is, where there is no vision, there will be no passion. Where there's no vision, there will be no passion. So that is something on that level. What is the activity? The activity is to discover, meaning to uncover what's already there, and us without knowing it, without connecting with it, because in our daily management job, we are up here on the level of our head. We are on the beta level underways, which is not so very efficient nor effective. And what that means is most of us, we need to relearn dreaming. Let me give you a practical example. In a corporate setting, the top executives, the executive board, we do a workshop together. It's about creating, discovering the vision, the so-called one vision for that corporation 10 years down the road. So the first thing that we are confronted with on the first day is, Heinz, we do not have time really to manifest visions. Then I'm asking, why? Tell me. Then they say, we have our focus on the next quarter bottom line. And either we make this one or, there are different other consequences you can imagine. So then I say, now what is the implication? Is this my understanding? You work hard day and night for the next 3 months to deliver a good bottom line. And then what if you have this mental movie channel that you're watching as a manager? What is this channel called? Then we find out in the discussion, this is the so-called reality channel. Heinz, stop dreaming. It's reality. It's down to earth. It is now or never. It is win or lose. So then I say, okay, listen, imagine you are constantly watching your reality channel. What is the implication onto your activities of tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the next day? Then we come up with the practical answer, which is, tomorrow we do about the same as today. The next day we do about the same as tomorrow, etc. So then I say, now, where does that lead to? We found out, you do the same thing tomorrow as you have already done yesterday, with one exception. You expect different results. Now, guess what? If you're just watching the reality channel up here in your mental movie theater, you're going to produce more tomorrow of what you had today. How are you going to survive in the future? Look, your mental movie theater is a fantastic tool, a powerhouse, and it has not just one channel. There are several channels. The second channel, right after reality, you must watch daily is the future channel. Now, if it's empty, because you say, Heinz, somebody with a vision must see the doctor. So then that is the point that I mentioned at the beginning. We need to relearn dreaming. We need to think and allow the future to find us and to unfold before us. So then that's what we do in this corporate setting. We relearn dreaming. We go back to the childhood. We remember our dreams, some of them that we have manifested, in spite of anybody else in our surroundings saying, no, you can't have this. Like, for instance, I went to my dad, actually my mom, and I said as a youngster, Mom, I want a piano. Of course, in our situation, Mom's answer was no. Now, what did I do with this no from Mom? I jumped over to Dad the next day and said, hey, Dad. And then Dad would ask the question, what did Mom say? Guess what? So it was a no, a no, a no. And my attitude, my mindset was, I didn't take a no for a no. Because in my heart, I had this burning desire for a piano. So I took these no's just as momentarily situation. And I found out later in my life, when I looked back and discovered some success patterns and failure patterns as well, by the way, the success patterns had to do with me changing my approach until I succeed. Once I have the commitment from my heart at 100%, nobody and nothing can stop me. So, of course, I got the piano with the support of other people in my surrounding. That was fantastic. And I have applied this very secret in my life in huge $1 million projects, like one, to give you actually just in a nutshell. There was a hotel in the Swiss mountains. After 2 bankruptcies, this hotel was again for sale. And I visited this property because I was looking for a seminar hotel in the Swiss mountains. And so when I was there, just standing on this terrace overlooking the beautiful lake, the mountains and everything, the hotel was closed, of course, after 2 bankruptcies, and spider webs all around, you can imagine. I stand on this terrace and then like a lightning strikes me and I see for a few seconds this hotel on the top 10 list of the Swiss seminar hotels 5 years down the road. I thought, Heinz, now you're really crazy. Those guys who told you if you have a vision, go see the doctor, they must be right. So, to make a long story short, I had 0 experience in the hospitality industry. I just had this vision that has unfolded before my eyes in an instant. And so now let me use that word, I tried to delete that picture from my mind, only to see, actually to dream in the night that this picture will come back to me and always the same. I said, forget it, you don't, etc. Or can you contribute to such a huge project? It's impossible. And then I started asking professionals from the hospitality industry. And we checked the books and the results of the last few years and the reasons why it did go down twice. And everybody that I came across said, Heinz, take off your hands of this project. It's not going to work. You're going to hit the wall with this. And this vision keeps coming back to me. So what do I do? Long story short, I offered to the bank who owned it. I made a proposal and everything. They did the analysis, whether I'm able to do that or not. They told me, finally, yes, we give it to you. But they say, we don't finance it. So that made me change my approach until I succeed, like with the piano decades ago. Only to find bankers who had their commitment from the heart. And so off we go with this project. We hired excellent staff members in all departments. I will never forget the day before the reopening of that hotel. I'm in the lobby with a glass of Prosecco with all the staff members, and I am looking into sparkling eyes of a crew that believes in this impossibility. 5 years down the road, top 10 in Switzerland. We did what we did, ups and downs. Again, survive or perish was the motto. And 5 years down the road, this hotel was top 3 in Switzerland. And all those who 5 years ago did say, take your hands off, were now invited for the celebration party. And it was outstanding for me to see, hear and feel again how much they have changed their opinion completely. So now this has nothing to do with me, Heinz, primarily. This has something to do with this outstanding, unique crew who has made this impossibility into an achievement. I'm very proud of them still today. So this is another episode to explain, to make it clear what the differences, the differentiators are in regards to what channel do we watch during these 5 years, every single day. Not just I, as well the management team. We have spent time with this future, airtime with the future. That was your question. How do you lead from the future? So that's what started with us watching the future channel, dreaming every day, and then putting the things into practical daily business life. Management by walking around, connecting with all the departments, checking how are the staff members doing, what is it they want, what are their visions, what are their contributions, and how can we truly empower them to grow beyond. And so we led those beautiful, unique human beings. We did lead them from that promised future that has made such a tremendous difference. Now, talking about this subject, how do we lead from the future? Nowadays, Rocky, this is making higher demands on every executive person because it's no longer sufficient to just measure the actual performance, which so many corporations do that. It's now about getting to know our people better, watching closer. What is the potential of John, of Mary, what are their talents? What are their hidden potential aspects for the future? What have we not yet unleashed? And how could we empower them to grow beyond? Oh, I remember a time, me as a manager, I did not really empower my people because I would fear that once they are stars, they will leave the company. That was the moment when I would need to change this approach, because if life, on a high level perspective, if life is about growth, then a corporation, part of its purpose is to empower people to grow and grow beyond. So, and that has to do with hard work, leading our people from where they are, no matter what the level of hard work is, to lead them to their heart work, working from the heart. And that makes that difference, that tangible difference that every client, every customer will see, hear, and feel. And that makes then the transformation of clients of yesterday into fans of tomorrow. So then clients and customers are no longer this external thing, target clientele and such. They are now becoming an integral part of our company. So we treat them that way. And it all starts with leading from the future.
So one of the things that you talk about as far as leaders is leaders should not be at the top. They should be at the bottom. So you should not have this pyramid structure with the leader on top leading everyone. Can you explain this?
Yeah, yes. I have this top executive. He comes back from a coaching session after having done all his assignments. He says, Heinz, I'm done with it. What's next? Then I say, okay, next is show me the organigram of your corporation. And then he shows me this organigram. This is a top-down drawing. 99% are drawn that way of the organigrams. Then I say, now here's the next challenge that I entrust you with. Think about the future of your corporation 10 years down the road. In what way could you incorporate everything we have been talking and working in depth about? If you have the vision, the guiding star, thereafter, it's about the strategy, right? Yes, of course, we have discussed that. Then the strategic triangle has 3 corners. The top corner is the strategy itself. Down left corner is the structure. And down right corner is the culture. And we all know structure, down left, follows strategy. And what we know as well is that down right, culture, eats strategy for breakfast. So when it comes to the structure, down left in the business triangle, then we are invited, let me put it that way, we are invited to deeply reflect on the effectiveness of our actual organigram top down. And why don't we put it upside down? So then he takes the organigram, the piece of paper, and he turns it around and say, is this what you mean, Heinz? I say, exactly. Now, explain to me what you see now. Then he tells me, oh, now, my case, my function is now no longer at the top. It's now at the bottom. I said, great. So now, what does that mean? Being at the bottom. Then I gave him a picture. Let's take an example out there in nature. What do you mean? Let's draw on top of this piece of paper, let's draw a big tree. For me, it would be a pink grapefruit tree in Florida. So then now you are at the bottom, right? Yes. So that means you are at the roots. So then the stem, that is your executive board. And then you have the branches, the divisions, and then the leaves and everything, the staff members, those who do the work in order. Now look at the top of this pink grapefruit tree, the juicy, sparkling pink grapefruits for the market. So, in what way does that change your mission and your responsibility? So he comes to see that, oh, if I'm at the bottom, at the root, then maybe if something does not work up there in the crown of the pink grapefruit tree, it could have something to do with me because I didn't give the juice to where it is needed in the organization. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Rocky?
It makes total sense. It's very countercultural to the way most organizations are made.
Yes.
I would think when you do that, you stop becoming the bottleneck and you stop becoming the problem in your organization. Everyone else is free to grow without hindrance, but they are still tied to the culture, to the vision, to the outcomes. And you get off that cycle of trying to constantly meet every quarter's goals and you build something for the future that's self-sustaining.
Beautifully said, Rocky, to the point. And that means then, look, this turning upside down is for the foxes. If we do not change our mindset, because leading our corporation gets into a new function. Leading becomes a service to the pink grapefruit tree. We are in service of our people. Guess what is needed from us? People management, forget it. It's not going to work. It's about leading our people from the future. And the future is the picture, the crown of the pink grapefruit tree. The juicy, beautifully shining, healthy, pink grapefruits. So the whole thing changes beautifully. And I have, of course, practical examples of those who did the work on the surface only, meaning they presented me a few weeks later the new organigram, bottom up, and they were not successful. Why? Because it was about words and not about deeds. And I have others, corporations, they made a turnaround in a beautiful way. And they did know, because I told them at the beginning that once the power of people in your organization is unleashed, that has several implications, one of which is they will be making higher demands onto you as the leadership team, because you can no longer just give orders. Here is a project. This is the what, this is the how, I tell you everything, and most of the time I forget to give you the purpose of it as well. And so now the whole thing changes. Only if you are in service and truly empowering the people, leading them from the future, will you be crowned by success. And making higher demands means now you are requested to learn the skills of leading from the future. because you cannot fake it. If your channel number 2, the future channel, is not a rich, fantastic movie, then you will not make it. Because only if your message is so much inspiring to your staff members that it touches their hearts, then things will start to change in a beautiful way for all involved, meaning as well for you.
That makes a lot of sense. I think the corporate world is changing. COVID kind of pushed things along more rapidly. People are tired of working in conditions that they don't want to work in. So as there is I'll call it the war for talent, as we're out there trying to attract talent, those that have good culture, those that have vision, it becomes much easier to recruit, and you don't have to necessarily pay more because people want to work for you instead of just chasing a paycheck. And so it does make a much, much better all around culture. And at the end of the day, that makes it more profitable and more fun.
Yes. What about fun? Keyword for productivity.
And so this is how we move from hard work to heart work to fun work.
That's it, Rocky.
It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
My secret is the faith into my possibilities, my potential, and a promising future.
It's not always easy to have faith in yourself.
This is true.
What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
To have my ego in check, because it's not about me in the first approach. It's about what I can give to the people that are important to me.
And that's big. I know ego is one of those things. I know I've had to work on that for a long time as well. I think many hard-charging people have to get that one under control.
Yes.
If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Wonderful question. What is the difference between success, my dear, and something less? He would look at me, or she would look at me, the 18 years young, and then I would answer, the difference between success and something less is we either believe in our goals, visions, or we believe in our excuses. Take that one on your path and be crowned by success.
There are a lot of people who live in a world of excuses, and you can see them a mile away.
Yeah.
If people would like to learn more about you, the leadership programs and so forth, where's the best place for them to find you?
There are two possibilities, actually three. The first one is go on Google and type in Heinz Kaegi, and you'll find plenty of Heinz Kaegi. That's the first one. The second one is a little more specific. One of my websites is heinzkaegi.com. heinzkaegi.com. And the third one is all the social medias from LinkedIn to Instagram, Facebook, etc. You'll find me there as well.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you again, Rocky, for having me. I enjoyed it so much, and I wish you all the best.
Can you change the way you lead to being at the bottom so that others can thrive? Do you have clarity on where your future lies? And is it compelling and exciting to you? And of course, the age-old question, what do you want? Finding the answers is not always easy, and it changes at different parts of your life. At least attempting to answer them and work towards them is key. It's the one question we all need the answer to. By the way, if you enjoyed this and you got value from Richer Soul, I'd appreciate you'd support me by sharing this with friends and letting others know, especially those you think it would benefit. Next week, we've got Felicia Searcy to talk about how to live your dream. Thanks for listening. Have an abundant week.